Welcome back, everybody. How's everybody doing? As always, I am Sergio Cano. Matt with us, Brian with us. Welcome to Crossing the Line. Well, how's your guys' Halloween weekend?
It was a great weekend, Sergio. A little too great, if you know what I mean.
Oh, man, yeah, I'm still feeling it for sure. Anyways, let's kick off this segment with a little bit of college football. Fellas, we are in for a treat. Number 1, LSU versus number 2, Alabama. What is in store for us, Matt?
Well, Sergio, it's very rare that we get a game where there is number 1 versus the number 2. LSU versus Alabama. And listen to me. The Tigers have been purring for a long time. But now I think they're ready to roar. And I think they're ready to take down Alabama because I think there's a lot of questions about Alabama right now, including, is Tua going to be healthy? I don't know. His health is a big question. He's hurt both his ankles. And I think that, if they're unable to rely on Tua and their mediocre run game, I think there's going to be big questions about whether or not their offense can put up the numbers that they need to beat a team like LSU. Okay, and LSU, I think another big factor about this game is that you got to win the turnover battle. When you got two teams who are this elite and this skilled, it's all about the little things, and I think LSU is just a little bit better at doing that.
Sure, Matt, I think both teams this weekend are really good. We're going to see a great game. Like you said, we don't get to see number 1 versus number 2 in the regular season very often at all. And I think the X factor Alabama has is Nick Saban. I think the coaching of Nick Saban, no matter who's the quarterback, if Tua's healthy, then that's obviously a great advantage. But even if they have to bring their backup in, I think Nick Saban's coaching, as well as LSU's top pass rusher, who leads the team in sacks, is out on a personal issue. So they don't have their leading defensive lineman. And I think Alabama has a history of Nick Saban winning tough football games.
You're right, Brian, and that's a good point. I think that Nick Saban is an X factor because I think that Nick Saban and Alabama have been there and done that, and they've been tested over and over and continue to succeed over and over, especially when it comes to playing LSU, because LSU has always had trouble the last decade or so playing against Alabama. They haven't beat them since 2010.
Wow.
And so I think this is going to be the biggest test. I think an indicator of who's going to win the national championship, because I think if LSU gets worked by Alabama, then that might be it for LSU. And I don't think that they'll be able to ultimately do very well if they make it to the college football playoff. But listen to me, if Alabama, I know Alabama's a team that has always been built around defense, but I think that if they can't stop Joe Burrow, who I think is the best quarterback in the nation, it's going to be a long day for Alabama, because I think LSU has what it takes to stop Alabama. But there's still questions on Alabama's defense. For example, they are 54th in the nation in sack rate this season. They are 60th in tackles for loss. Now, with a well-rounded team like LSU, and you can't stop Joe Burrow, you're going to be in some trouble.
That's a fair point. I think that Joe Burrow has been a great quarterback this year. And LSU is hungry. They haven't won since 2010.
Long time.
But I was thinking Alabama team coming into this game needs to show that it can win against a good opponent. They haven't played any great opponents this year. Obviously, Alabama is a great team. Even if Alabama loses this game, a close game to LSU, they still make the playoff, because we all know that the college football playoff pickers, whoever decides that, they're biased for Alabama. I think there might be 4 better teams than Alabama. LSU, Ohio State, Penn State, perhaps, as well as Clemson. If Clemson's undefeated, I think they have to make the playoff.
Some bold predictions.
If Alabama loses this game, they still make the playoff unless they get embarrassed.
I hear you. Alabama will get the love, I think. Dispute that.
Sure.
Okay, well, before we move on to the next topic, who's winning and what's the score?
I think it's going to be LSU, 57-49.
Wow.
Ooh, high-scoring game. I'll take Alabama 31-28.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, let's see how it plays out. Okay, so the Browns, fellas. Oh, the Browns. They
Oof.
took another L. They suffered another L to my Broncos. Yeah. Anyways, we could point the finger, all across the organization. So I'm gonna ask you, fellas, who do you guys think is responsible for the Browns' failure? We could blame it on terrible coaching. OBJ still has some drama not getting the ball on the last play or yesterday. Baker Mayfield has not had a great season. He's had 7 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a 40.1 QBR, which ranks 26th. So it's pretty bad. Brian, whose fault is it right now? Why are they failing so much?
I think it's just I think it is the Browns as a whole. I think somehow they got cursed, and wearing a Cleveland Browns jersey, you just can't win games. I think that's the thing, because last season we saw Baker Mayfield look like a serviceable quarterback. This season he looks terrible.
Yeah.
Last season, Nick Chubb probably could have won Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley. And they brought in OBJ, and we thought this team is going to be good. They have Jarvis Landry. This team is going to be really good. And they're 2-6. And they look pretty bad. And that's just the Browns.
It's true, that is just the Browns. I think that is the culture. But see, Brian, I've been working on trying to become a better scientist. And that means I'm trying to use the scientific theory when I'm thinking about this problem. If there's anything I know about the scientific theory, is that you've got to be working out the right variables. What variables are changing from one instance to the next? So when I look at that, what variables have changed from last year when the Browns went 5-3 in their last 8 games, and where Baker looked so good, who had a great rookie season, and the Browns were so successful, having their best season in years. And now they're 2-6. Baker looks awful. Their players aren't playing the way they want them to. Pointing fingers at the coaching staff. Nothing is going well for the Browns. So what has changed? I think the big question is, has to be Freddie Kitchens, head coach of the Browns. Because when I look at Freddie Kitchens, a guy who had no head coaching experience, who just a short time ago was a running backs coach and had decent success as an offensive coordinator, and who only got the job because Baker Mayfield wanted him there. I think that is a big question. When your players are disgruntled, Odell Beckham's not getting what he wants, and you're kind of letting Baker Mayfield, rookie quarterback, kind of run the show and get what he wants, and you're not doing what's best for the team, and letting a guy like Freddie Kitchens, who should not be in this position, be there and run this team, a team who needs veteran leadership and needs someone who's been there before to run a team like this with the talent that they have. Because the Browns, and everybody said they had so much talent, they should not be this bad for how much talent they have. Baker should not be playing this bad. I don't think a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach is ever a good combo, especially a rookie coach like Freddie Kitchens.
I don't know. I will say, you look back, Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, both rookies in their first year, and it turned out pretty good for them. But in general, I don't think it's a great combination. Freddie Kitchens has not looked like a great head coach this season, and he hasn't been the leader on the team either. If you're going to say something, you got to stick with it. And Freddie Kitchens has been in and out, hasn't been a confident coach, but I still don't think anyone could join the Browns. If the Patriots put on a Browns jersey, they'd start losing games too.
Yeah, the Browns effect, kind of like the Madden effect, being on the cover of the Madden football. Peyton Hillis, he was on the cover of Madden football. Browns running back. Gone for operation.
Oh, man.
Another scientific term.
Wow.
But, yeah, let's move on.
That's quite a theory there.
Man.
So since we're on the topic of football, Matt, you want to introduce us our Fail Mary for this week?
That's right. We have another Fail Mary today. We're going to keep the pressure on the Cleveland Browns and make some more fun of them. In this episode of Fail Mary, Brian, Sergio, and I are going to be critiquing a play that happened last week against the Patriots between them and the Browns.
Snap out of the gun. Oh, he tosses it right into the arms of Lawrence Guy. You gotta be kidding me.
I mean, what a play. Lawrence Guy just runs right through, and oh my goodness, it's just...
They've turned it over now. 3 consecutive plays. 2 fumbles, and count this as a pick. Jarvis Landry, I guess, was the target, but Guy read it better than anyone.
So as you can see there, the Browns made terrible execution on that play, trying to fool the Patriots. Freddie Kitchen had no idea what was going on, and now us 3 are going to show you how this could have gone better. Take a look. Good afternoon, Colorado Mesa University, and welcome to another edition of Fail Mary. Today, we're going to be going over a play that happened between the New England Patriots and the Cleveland Browns, where Baker Mayfield and the Browns tried to fool the Patriots with a shovel pass that ultimately ended up in an interception. Today, Brian, Sergio, and I are going to show you how the Browns could have done it right. All right, guys, here's the deal. Coach called the shovel pass, but I say screw that. We're going to Hail Mary all the way. We're not little wusses. All right, let's do it. Break. All right, so Coach has just called the shovel pass, but screw that. So you're going to flip him right off, and then I'm going to wave Sergio all the way into the end zone. He's not going to stop. I'm not going to let him stop. And then I throw an absolute dime to him in the end zone. Brian trips Ellis because nobody cares about penalties. Sergio makes the easy catch, and then we go into celebration mode. Knock over Ellis again, and Sergio does the step over because we don't care about Ellis, and we are the winners. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is you just do it all yourself because you're the MVP of that team. And you don't need anyone else's help, and you're going to prove it. All right, so here I'm going to be taking control of the play, and I'm going to be doing all the work myself because I'm the best player on this team. I shove Ellis to the ground like he's nothing and waltz into the end zone. And now we once again go into celebration mode, and we are trying to act as cocky and as conceited as possible because we're the winners. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how it's done. From all of us here at Crossing the Line, remember, keep failing so we can show you how to succeed.
That was a good one, boys.
That's how it's done.
Man.
Really
I
gotta.
don't remember that.
That's a grown man move there.
Yeah,
Taking it yourself.
Yeah,
You know?
the key is in the stiff arm. You got to go right to the jugular,
You got it.
right to the head, the skull. Show him that his whole body's
man.
not more powerful than your arm.
Oh, that was entertaining. Well, that concludes our football segment of the show. Let's talk a little bit of some NBA, some NBA. Fellas, Luka Doncic has been playing absolutely outrageous. He's averaging 26.7 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, and 9.5 assists. Has the Mavs in a nice spot at 4-2. He had back-to-back triple-doubles. He's looking like a future MVP. What do you guys think? Can he win it this year? I personally think he will be, if he continues to play like this, he'll be top 5. I'm not sure he'll win it, but that's what I think. What about you, fellas? What about you, Matt? What do you believe?
I got news for you guys. This is 2019, and I think that white Europeans can win the NBA MVP award too. It just doesn't have to be like LeBron and Giannis. I know that sounds racist, but it's not. Listen, Luka Doncic, I think, is a different being. I think he's a different species. He plays the game in such a unique way, and I think he has such a unique feel for how the game works. He can do it all. He's a very good all-around player. He can pass, he can shoot, he can rebound. He's nearly averaging a triple-double this year at 26 points, 9 assists, and 10 rebounds a game. He looks great, and he's leading this Dallas Mavericks team, which I think, you know, they were a joke last year, but I don't think they're going to be a joke this year. I think they can be a dominant team. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to the Dallas Mavericks this year.
Sure. I think I'd like him to win MVP. I don't know that he will. You did mention white Europeans. You know who's a white European?
Who?
Denver Nuggets center. Jokic.
Jokic, yeah.
Yeah, that man I think could win the MVP, as well as James Harden is no joke. Maybe he should have won the MVP last year, if we're being honest, and he's putting up big numbers this year. And the Rockets aren't winning games, so that would help if the Rockets started winning games. They haven't looked in sync at all. They were down like by 30 to the Heat in the first quarter or something. They looked terrible the other night, but
He got some good rookies.
James Harden is a very good player, as well as there's other people. Kawhi is still a very good player for the Clippers. LeBron's always a factor as long as he doesn't get injured. So I think that it's a stretch to say Luka will win the MVP, but I would like to see him win it.
Andre Drummond's been playing out of his mind, too.
He has,
Keep
yeah.
an eye out on him.
Now, he is 20 years old, so if he did win the MVP, he would be the youngest to ever win the MVP.
Derrick Rose.
Yep, Derrick Rose was the only other guy, youngest guy at 22 to win. But listen, I think Luka can do it. Listen, I got a stat for you, Brian. Okay, in the first 6 games, Luka Doncic has 150 points, at least 150 points, 50 rebounds, and 50 assists. There's been only 4 other people in the history of basketball to ever do that. Now, Luka Doncic is one of them, joining the likes of Russell Westbrook, John Havlicek, LeBron, and Oscar Robinson. Now, that's pretty elite company. I know it's just 6 games. You can pull a sample size on me. But I think Luka has what it takes to be an MVP. I think you're just hating on Slovenia. But believe,
I don't
Brian,
think so. I think that if James Harden has a season like he had last season, there will be a riot if he doesn't win MVP this
See,
year.
I just don't think James Harden can be an all-around player like Luka, like Russell Westbrook. I don't think he is
Like
that guy. I
Russell
think
Westbrook.
hey, Russell Westbrook has spent a whole season averaging a triple-double.
Here's what I'm saying. Russell Westbrook went to the Rockets, and now they're even worse than last year. What happened
Whether
there?
or not Russell
All-around
Westbrook
player?
is a poison to your team is another the topic. Maybe we'll do that one next week. But I think, nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of year Luka Doncic has.
Yep.
It will. I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
Not in the Mavs, though.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, not the
I mean, I'd like Nikola Jokic. I think he can win the MVP. He's probably more of a favorite than Doncic would be. But
After 6 games, I don't know that he's more of a favorite, but definitely before the season, I thought he was in the top 5 at least.
I'm just saying, Jokic got 4th last year.
Yeah.
Should be interesting how the whole MVP playoff race plays out. A lot of players playing really well. I'm hoping LeBron could win his 5th, but
Ooh,
I'm a LeBron fan, you know. That's all I gotta say. But Kawhi, you know, he might take the throne if a lot of people already don't think or think he already is or has. So should be exciting. I truly believe if Doncic keeps playing the way he's playing, he could win an MVP. You know, he's a fan favorite. The media likes to give him attention. We saw how much he was in the spotlight last year, even with, you know, the Mavericks not as performing as they are, like as well as they are this year. But yeah, it should be exciting to see how that plays. But any final thoughts before we move on to the last topic about it?
I got my points in.
I would, not on the Luka point, but if Andre Drummond wins the MVP, that'd be pretty cool too. I feel like he's been overshadowed in his career.
Very.
He's been putting in work, and maybe this year people finally see it for what it is.
Yeah, truly underrated. Okie dokie, fellas. Yesterday, Sunday Night Football, Pats and Ravens. Ravens handed the Patriots their first loss of the season. So I'm going to ask this question. Who is more likely to make it out of the AFC this year if those two were to meet? Or not even meet, just in general. I truly believe, even though the Ravens played a spectacular game yesterday, playoffs are a whole different monster, and we see how the Patriots are when the playoffs come. So unless they have a little bit of magic, Lamar Jackson, and they play like that in the playoffs, I don't see much as I hate to say it, I don't see anyone really challenging the Patriots unless something dreadful or drastic happens. But Brian, you tell me, who do you think is more likely to make it out? Baltimore's young and exciting, and
They
I like
are.
them.
And if I'll start with this, if I were to build a team right now, the first person I pick would be Lamar Jackson. He's young, he's exciting, maybe the best runner since Michael Vick, and he can throw the ball too. He's not a running quarterback. He's not a pocket passer. He's a winning quarterback, and that's what matters in the end. But can it beat the Patriots in the playoffs? That's the question. And can a team play against a Bill Belichick team like the Patriots and beat them twice in a season? After the Patriots have seen what you can do and can game plan for you more, the Patriots are one of the best teams we've ever seen in doing that, and best coaching we've ever seen in history, perhaps, in Bill Belichick.
Well, here's the problem with what you're saying, Brian, is that you would build a team around Lamar Jackson, which is great. But see, the problem is that you're building. You haven't gotten anywhere yet. You haven't built that skyscraper. And you know who has built in the skyscraper? Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And I think the Patriots, as much as it pains me, because I don't like the Patriots at all, I think the Patriots obviously have the best chance at making it to the Super Bowl again. Because see, in one corner, you have a duo that's combined for 6 Super Bowl titles, 18 winning seasons, and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are widely regarded as the greatest head coach of all time and the greatest quarterback of all time. And then in the other corner, you have a second-year quarterback who, with the way he plays, could get hurt at any time. So
That's a great observation. Very articulate, Matt.
That's a real what if Lamar Jackson gets hurt. If Lamar Jackson gets hurt, they don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs. But because there's a lot of good teams in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes is coming back for the Chiefs. Jacoby Brissett, assuming he's healthy, is pretty good. Deshaun Watson and the Texans are pretty good. Even the Bills are pretty good. So without Lamar Jackson, the Ravens don't have a team.
But let's leave the injury comment aside, and let's just talk about who the Patriots are and who they've proven themselves to be time after time. We've always made these speculations that Tom Brady is gonna fall off a cliff. He's gonna go off the deep end. Maybe after he has a bad game or two, and we make these speculations, but then he just proves us wrong. He does it time and time again. He's a 40-year-old quarterback who's still winning Super Bowls. Him and Bill Belichick literally go to the Super Bowl every other year.
9 appearances.
And I don't think there is any grounds to say that the Ravens have a better chance at making it to the Super Bowl than the Patriots. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
The greatest coach of all time and the greatest quarterback of all time.
Nonetheless, Ravens are coming up for sure, and they're exciting to watch. Well, that concludes another episode, unfortunately. But before we end, it's time for our shout-outs. My shout-out goes out to Brandon Allen of the Denver Broncos for starting and getting us a W with 2 touchdowns and, most importantly, 0 picks. So shout-out Brandon Allen. What about you guys?
My shout out goes to the man Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, for shooting his shot with Aaron Andrews during his post-game interview with her. Admirable shot. Let's see if I'm not sure if he'll be able to take her away from her husband, but just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score.
Oh,
Right.
you
Shoot or
guys got
shoot,
some
Matt.
clever
Shoot or
comparisons.
shoot.
Shoot or shoot.
And Jimmy Garoppolo is a good-looking man, so maybe he has a chance. For my shout-out, I'll have to shout out the New Mexico Lobos women's cross-country team for winning their 12th consecutive conference championship. They did win the national championship this year. They're well on their way to competing for a national championship this year. And 12 conference championships in a row is nothing to joke about
Oh,
either.
that's impressive.
Impressive.
Very impressive, actually.
Only you would shout out the New Mexico women's cross country team.
They're a good team.
Oh,
When was the
man.
last time your cross-country team won 12 in a row?
I have no idea.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Before we end, we have a little special treat, right, Matt? You want to...
That's right. We do have a special treat. Special treat indeed.
Absolutely.
As some of you may know, Brian and I made a bet on the
I'm gonna
World
move so my shoes
Series
don't get dirty.
to see who would win. Brian bet on the Astros. I bet on the Nationals. And as you all know, the Nationals emerged victorious. And so now I get to throw this pie into Brian's face.
Oh,
Ready, Brian?
oh man.
Been waiting for this all day.
You don't want no frosting in there.
All right.
Okay.
We got a good shot for this, right?
You ready?
All right.
Oh no.
Lemon meringue.
Oh jeez.
What do you have to say for yourself, Brian?
My mic's gone.
Here you go.
Mike's gone.
Go Nationals. You know, good team win. And you know, as much as I like the Astros, they didn't put in Garrett Cole, so I respect the Nationals' first World Series. It's a good pie, Matt. Good pie.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Have a great rest of the week, everybody. We will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.